Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973, an inspirational podcast about the ups and downs of life and everything in between. Here's your host, Shane Lakita.
Hey everyone, before we get started on the podcast today, I just wanted to share something with you. So as you all know, I'm looking out for relationships and trying to build different networking aspects of the podcast to be able to reach out to different companies and different brands to be able to bring them in the loop in creating some sponsorships for the show. So I found one in this company called Podcorn. It's basically a website, www.podcorn.com, and they are sponsoring this episode that we are recording right now. And basically what Podcorn is it's a marketplace that connects brands and podcasts for sponsorships. So basically it takes all the different pain and suffering that goes into trying to be able to navigate reaching out to different companies, reaching out to different brands, but rather it puts it all into one little marketplace and location for these companies to work together. I've used it in the past and I'm using it right now with the company, actually Podcorn itself. So if you're interested in reaching out to or finding a sponsorship or building a relationship with a brand or a company, you can go to www.podcorn.com, log right in, create an account, and you can really start to be able to create some on-demand, really good sponsorships for the podcast that you're recording or whatever it is you're trying to be able to brand to move forward. So like I said before, this episode is sponsored by Podcorn, and I'll also layer in right into the body of the show, you'll see the link that I'm going to post right in there for podcorn.com. So you can also go and check them out, see what they have to offer for services and everything else. So, okay, well, let's go ahead and get started with the show. Hey folks, hey everybody, good morning. All right, here we are. We're about halfway through February of 2021. Who would have ever thought we'd be here right now after the last year that we've had? Basically just trying to get through day by day and being able to push through, and especially with the weather situation that everybody's going through and all the other stuff that we've got going across the country, it just seems like it just keeps on going, right? It keeps on extending. This winter, this long, cold winter continues to extend and extend. But here's the thing. I do this podcast because I need to bring myself to a better place. I do this podcast because I want to be a positive influence on not only myself, but people around me. And we can keep pushing forward and keep supporting each other and lifting each other up and encouraging each other. And that's how I do it right through this podcast. So first of all, to all the longtime listeners of Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973, I appreciate you. From the true bottom of my heart, to the patrons of the show, to the folks that have listened to since day one, to the subscribers of the newsletter, and anybody that's been around with me for a while, from the beginning stages of this podcast where we started off as more of a weight loss podcast, and then it became more about being the best version of ourselves and continuing to move forward, I thank you. I thank you because I couldn't do this without you. And I couldn't find the strength to be able to dig in and find topics and be able to really dig in on the journey and the mindset and everything else if it wasn't for each and every one of you every day inspiring me to be the best version of me. So thank you again. And for those new listeners, the people that just jumped on board, the people that this is the first time listening, or maybe it's a second or third episode that you've listened to for the podcast itself, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard my journey. Welcome aboard our journey. You know, it may just be me talking into a microphone with a few interviews sprinkled in every once in a while, but I'm here on a microphone talking to you as a person, one-on-one. And I know that a lot of you go through a lot of the similar situations that I've been through and the same types of things that we've all gone through together. And what better way to be able to discuss things or grow from things than actually have a conversation about those things? The struggles, the wins, the victories, the defeats, all those things all together in this journey that we call life. And so I appreciate you being here, and I thank you for being here. And for all those very recently that have hopped into the merchandise store and bought a lot of the Find Your Strong apparel and hats and shirts, and the couple people have bought the Hug and a Mug shirts and a couple of the beanies and different stuff. Thank you so much for that, because that's a great way to be able to continue to generate any kind of revenue for the podcast to keep things going and moving forward. I'm actually in the works right now to be able to have a conversation with a friend of mine to actually start another podcast that we're going to be doing about positivity. So that's in the works, and I'll keep you guys posted through this one about that one to be able to generate some people to go over and listen to that when we get there too. So that's in the works. There's multiple things that are happening. Here's another thing I want to let you guys know about before we get into the podcast itself. I do have a relationship with a coffee company. Now, you guys know this is called Coffee Talk, and here we are. We're talking about coffee. We talk about having coffee and discussing things together, being a positive influence over coffee and whatever else. But I've got a friend named Java John. His name is John Long. Funny guy. I met him on TikTok. And basically he has a coffee. He gave up everything he had. And if you go back probably around 30 or 40, maybe 50 episodes, when I first met him, I brought him on board to the podcast here, and he talked about his journey where he gave up everything to go for his dream in basically brewing coffee. He was making six figures in the corporate world, and he basically changed everything over and just said, you know what, I'm going to go for my dream. I only live once, and I want to be able to try to do it. With some bumps in the road and some tough really getting the sled moving forward, through social media, he's really gained a following and started to build his business. So I'm a big, huge fan of his coffee. So I want to let you guys know that to get to his coffee, and I'll put it in the body of the email or a body of the podcast as well. But to get to his coffee, you can go to JavaJohns, JavaJohns.coffee, and you can go in there, put a bunch of things in your basket to be able to order some coffee, whether it's whole bean or ground or whatever else you're going to be able to put in there. And then basically at the end, at the checkout, use the coupon code of Coffee Talk 10, all one word, all lowercase, and the numbers 10. So COFFEETALK 10 at the checkout, and you get 10% off your order. Okay, so that's another sponsor of our show. He's helping us to be able to move forward, not only to help a small business owner. He's out of Texas, but has great coffee, but also a friend, and he's helping me, and he's helping you guys all be able to capitalize on the fact that we've got a discount code for that. So if you get a chance, go check it out, go order some coffee. And as you know, I love doing these podcasts over coffee with you because it really gets my brain going the right direction. So, okay. Anyway, I wanted to have a conversation with you guys because here's what happened this week. I was sitting there and I was on my live on TikTok Live, and we were having coffee and we're sitting around. There's probably around 20 or 30 people in the room. And I was using a mug that somebody had sent me from the TikTok community, actually, because they wanted to give me a gift. And on the gift itself, on the mug itself, it's kind of a misshapen mug. But the mug that they sent me, on there, it says, start with yes. So basically, start your day with yes. And so it got me really thinking about things. And I was reading this, and I'm like, well, that's kind of a good concept. I guess so. And then what I did was I went to the community that was on the live with me, and we were sitting down and we were having a conversation. And I said, okay, no matter what's going on today, no matter what your plans are today, no matter where you're going, whether you're going to work or whether you're going to be the parent that you're meant to be or whatever it is you're doing, maybe you're working from home, maybe you're an Uber driver, whatever it is that you're doing right now, I want you to start your day off with the word yes. And I want you to start off whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish today with yes, I can, or yes, I will do this, or yes, I will do yoga, or yes, I can be successful, or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, the 30 or 30 some odd people that were in the room were coming to me with tons and tons of amazing yes statements. Yes statements like, I say yes to being healthier, or I say yes to being smoke-free. Or I say yes to being more confident in my abilities to be able to converse with people. Or I say yes to coming out of my shell and being less of an introvert and talking more. Or I say yes to being able to confront a family member who's been negative towards me or breaking me down or beating me down. Or I say yes to being calmer in the situation where I'm with my family, knowing that they're going through similar situations that I'm going through. I say yes to all these things because yes is such a powerful, amazing word. And so here I was, we're going through this exercise, and I'm listening to all these folks pour themselves out there with just one or two items that they said, I'm going to commit to doing this and starting off my day with the word yes, because I need to get the momentum going down the road of something that I feel as being successful in. I feel like I can really kick off my day with a good momentum and a positive momentum towards the yes world. right? And I didn't think it was going to be as powerful as it was, but it was super, super powerful. People were sending me things that they have been struggling with for weeks or months or years, and today was the day that they were going to do something a little bit different. Or even some of them were just talking about, yes, I'm going to give myself grace to know that I can take a break today. I can relax. I can take a nap. I can do whatever I have to do for that self-care moment that I need. Or, yes, I'm going to go to the studio to get my hair done, even in the face of a pandemic, and going and doing what I have to do to feel pampered or to feel like I'm worthy or those kind of things. Or, yes, I'm going to be able to look in the mirror and instead of berating myself and bashing myself and coming down on myself, I'm actually going to look at myself and compliment something about me. My hair looks good today. My outfit looks banging. I look amazing. I feel great. Or, yes, I feel like although I may not be where I need to be with my weight loss or with my, exercise or anything like that, but I'm working and I'm grinding and I'm putting in the work and I feel good about where I'm at. And yes, I will compliment myself instead of berate myself and bash myself. So you could see the momentum of what this whole entire live was. 30 individuals all having conversations. And so they put like maybe 2 or 3 different comments that they wanted to put yes on. And every one of them, every one of those folks that put those words in there were literally reflective of everything that they've probably have said no to before, or probably have doubted themselves, or given themselves moments that they wanted to give themselves an out in case they failed. Instead of saying, yes, I'm going to do something, or yes, I will be successful towards something, or yes, I will be the person that I'm meant to be. And we don't do it enough. So then, of course, as you all know, here's the podcast, right? I've got to be able to dig in a little bit deeper because I really felt it was impactful. And I felt like we were in this zone, in this space where people were talking about, yes, I can, and yes, I can do this. And then I thought about the word yes itself. And I said, you know what, I got to go do some investigation here. I got to take a look at what the mindset is around the word yes compared to what the word no is. And so here's a couple things that I found. What I found was in a lot of the coaching and therapy sites that I went to and the places that I went to go visit and the places that I went to go do some investigative reporting, like Dateline or something like that, I wanted to find out the difference between no and yes. And what the consensus was across the board is how devastating effect the word no has on our minds. Now, you might tell your kids no because they're going to get in trouble. Or you might have been told no because you couldn't do something or you couldn't go a certain direction at work or sports or whatever else. And no is an important word, right? It's an important word because you have to basically decipher between right and wrong or a way to stop getting hurt or anything like that. But no has so many different impacts on the body. One of the things I read on there was, if you use the word no, it's such a powerful word when spoken that it releases dozens of stress-producing chemicals in the brain, which affect the effectiveness and rationality of the brain. They're just the word no. The simple word of no. Think about anything you're doing and think something you're trying to be able to accomplish or do or go after or anything like that. You get told no by somebody. Nope, can't do that. Nope, doesn't work. Nope, you're wrong. How does that make you feel? Is it true, just like in that statement where it said it releases dozens of stress-producing chemicals? It does for me. Now that I think about it, now that I think about the fact that if somebody tells me no, whether I was a 2-year-old when they told me no, all the way to the time where I'm 48 years old now and they tell me no, I don't like being told no, and I don't like the way that it makes me feel. Or how about this? The other end of the word no. Here's the other end of the word no. How about when you want to be able to quit smoking? Or you want to stop doing drugs or alcohol or anything like that, whatever it is, comfort foods, eating poorly, bad decisions that you know. And a lot of times what we say is, I'm going to say no to those things. Back in the 80s, what was it? The Reagans used to say, just say no to drugs, right? And so when you tell somebody no to something, when you say no to a bad habit or something like that, mentally, we have put all of our eggs in one basket to saying no to that one thing. And what happens is we go to the total extreme over to the right or to the left, whatever side you're looking at. And we say to ourselves, if I say, no, I'm not going to do that anymore, or no, that's not going to happen anymore, it's a great start to the whole entire equation. But what happens? We set ourselves up for failure a lot of times. And then we start to feel bad about ourselves. And then we think we have no self-control. And then our internal critics go nutso. They go crazy. They keep telling us on how much garbage they are or how much of a failure they are for hearing the words no, right? No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. Why? Because somebody told you can't. And then you're getting caught in this huge cycle over and over again. Your ins and your outs, and you're all over the place. And then you're like doubting yourself. And then you give that self-doubt that kicks in. And then, that, like I said, that worst inner critic, that inner self starts really berating and bashing you because you're a failure to the word no. Now, why would the word no, when you're trying to do something positive for yourself, have a negative effect? Well, it ties back to that whole piece of releasing those stress-producing chemicals we were talking about, because no has a negative effect on a person. So now let's think about it for a second. What if you were to use the word yes when you're trying to quit something or do something that you know is good for you to do instead of the word no? Right? So instead of going down the road of, I will not do this anymore, I'm going to say no to the alcohol anymore, I'm going to say no to smoking, it's the way it's going to be, it's an ultimatum, it's a line in the sand, it's done, it's ready to go, right? Of where it's at. And it may be a short-term action that's be able to play, but then again, if you don't get to the full end of the finish line, you're going to feel like a failure at the end of it. So here's some things you can do. Think about all those words I just said in the beginning. If you use the word yes instead of no. Okay, instead of no, or say no to eating those comfort foods or no to gaining weight or anything like that, how about yes to being healthier? Or I'm going to say yes to going to the gym. Instead of no to the different situations, I'm saying yes to going to the gym because it's a positive influence. Yes, I can go to the gym. Yes, I have a gym membership. I'm coming from the place of gratitude. I know that I can go do that. It's a total mind shift. Instead of hearing the no's and the negatives and that whole entire dopamine that kicks in on the negative side of things, now that release of chemicals is on the positive side of things, where now I'm coming from a yes place. And I read a bunch of articles about this. I dug in a lot because I wanted to know more about this. The simple difference between yes and no. Then I think to myself, what about when we talk to our children? And we come to them with no. And we try to make an impact and we yell no. Or we slap our hands together and we say, no, don't do that. Or a dog or a pet or anything like that. And we use the word no to make an impact. And we start to create this negative energy around the word no. Instead of going, how do you do it with a positive reinforcement? Yes to something. Absolutely. One of the things I wanted you to do is stay away from this, but one of the things you can do is this, or yes to doing this, and having a conversation towards, instead of getting those negative endorphins going in the brain of always hearing no, why aren't we hearing the word yes a lot more as a positive reinforcement to the things that we're strong at, the things that we do really well? It's a wide range of emotions and brain work that goes into this. But I love that I was able to dig into it because I really found that I say no to a lot of the things, and I come from a negative place to a lot of the things that I know I need to fix. I know I'm not perfect. I've got flaws. I've got things that go on. But to come to it from an a line in the sand or an ultimatum that's set with the fact that no, and it's a negative place, sets me up for failure every damn time. Every time. And I know any of you that's been on this podcast for a while know that I've been down the road before of thinking like a 2-year-old kid. And the 2-year-old kid might be walking by the refrigerator and sees that cookie jar on the top of the refrigerator. And the parent says, you're not going to have those cookies. It's not what's going to happen. You cannot have that. You're not going to have it. What do you think that 2-year-old kid does? He wants those cookies so bad. He wants those cookies with so much passion. That's all he's thinking about. That's all he's thinking about, walking back and forth, maybe even building up a little bit of a ladder through a chair and through whatever else to climb up on the countertop to get to the top of the fridge because he wants those cookies because somebody just said, no, you can't have that. And so now you're thinking to yourself, I've got to have it. We're no different as adults, are we? You tell me, no, I can't do something. Internally, I'm going to want to do it. Just look at the societal piece that we have going on in the world right now. People are told, no, you shouldn't wear masks. You shouldn't wear masks. You have to wear masks, right? You're told that you have to do something, and maybe internally is something you don't really want to do. So what do people do? They fight against it, and they do exactly the opposite because you're not going to tell me what to do. You're crazy, right? And then we get into fight mode. And then we get all these different things where you have people that are going against the grain of being, healthy conscious and making sure that we're doing the right thing for others versus just yourself. And they literally take these words and they say, I'm not wearing it because I'm not having somebody tell me to do it. And it's a big sham. And so at the end of the day, we're in the fight mode because of the word no. And because of the negative connotation of what it means. Instead of coming down the road, which should have been right from the beginning, to say, you know what, guys, listen, you may not agree with it. It may not be some things that were not in tow with it, or maybe, there's some self-serving things that are going on right now. But you know what? It might be the benefit for everybody else around you to be able to make sure that we're doing this to save our elderly population and do the things that we have to do. 100% different conversation than wear it because you're told it's mandatory for you to do so. Now do it. Versus coming from a place of positivity or changing and flipping the script just a little bit. I have to work on this with my own family. I have to work on this with my son. I have to think to myself, if I come at him with all kinds of no, negative, and just bash him and beat him over the head with a bunch of stuff, he's literally going to be like, okay, I'm sick of that, right? But instead, you got to think about the way you communicate, the way we talk about things, the way we bring things to the table. How are we going to change the game from the environment that we live in right now, where everything is so negative and so, monumental with everything that we say? End of the world for this and end of the world for that. And this is what's going to happen. And if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. And you don't do that, this is what's going to happen. Instead of going, hey, you know what? You're a good person. You're amazing. You're thoughtful. You're kind. Here's the thing. I think we could use those to our advantage in this situation. And here's why. Because we can help others. And we can keep on giving back and doing the things that we have to do. Or if I'm talking, like I said, a conversation with my kid, maybe I say to him, you're compassionate. You're loving. You may be 15 years old, but you've got such a big heart, and you love your mother, and you've always think in the right direction and come from a positive place instead of always a negative. Now, this is something you have to work on, because I know naturally we immediately go down the road of almost like a scare tactic to be able to stop somebody from doing something, right? How often do we do that? All the time. We do it all the time. And the thing about it is that here's the thing. We've been trained that way. Since we've been little, we've been trained, don't do that because it's a negative thing. Don't go down that road because it's a negative thing. And maybe that's half the problem of what we have in society. Maybe that's half the reason why we doubt ourselves so much and we beat ourselves up so much. And we think to ourselves, I can't accomplish something because somebody has been there telling me that you can't do that. Or they've set boundaries to protect you. Maybe coming from a good place, but they still set those boundaries. And they're telling you, you shouldn't go down the road of taking the risk to do that because it's not worth it. You're going to get hurt. You're going to hurt somebody, something that's going on, and everybody has advice and they want to come at you with it. And they come to you, whether, like I said, from a good place or a bad place, whichever it is. But we're so used to hearing that we are now patterned in our brain to be the same way to ourselves. We're the exact same way with us. I sit back and I tell myself, no, I can't do something because I've never been able to do it before. Or no, I can't do something because I always fail. I try in the past all the time. I go down the road of trying to do something new and I fail every damn time. And I fall and I slip and I scrape my knee. And then that feeling is not a great feeling and I don't want to go through it again. So I take less risks. Or I reinforce myself with less positive words. And I say to myself, you've always failed at this, so just expect failure. And then if you hit the succeed button, great, we're going to celebrate for a moment. Instead of going into it with the approach of, yes, I can. And what I'm doing is a positive thing. And I'm leveraging the strengths that I bring to the table to make sure that I can do and make a difference in the world. You know how many people have told me that this podcast will never really amount to anything? It's a great resource. It's good. You're reaching out to people. You're helping people. That's awesome. But how are you going to make any money off that? How are you going to be able to build a career around it? It's never going to go anywhere. There's 100,000 podcasts that are out there in the world. And at the end of the day, you're just one of all those 100,000. You're a blip on the screen. You know Joe Rogan. You know Mike Rowe. You know any of these names of these people that hit millions and millions of downloads and whatever else. So why are you going down the road of doing it? Why? Because you're taking a risk? Oh, great. So hear what I'm saying. You have people that you would think would be in your corner, but they're not really in your corner, but they're just trying to protect you. and be the realist to be able to say, nope, think before you do. Think about the impact it's going to have on you, your family, everybody around you. It's not very profitable. It doesn't have a very good direction to move in. It's just not going to work. So why are you doing it? So again, we get in that whole no place and we start to doubt ourselves. We start to think about all these things that we're doing. And in social media and podcasting and everything else, when you have ups and downs and you have trends where people are actually downloading stuff and then maybe they're not, or they're starting to follow you and then you may lose followers or anything like that in this whole entire space, you really do start to doubt yourself. And if you're entering the conversation with a no conversation and a negative theme to it, you're more than likely going to fail in the long run. Instead of living in the place that you can make a difference, living in the place that you can be successful, and living in a place that you can basically prove your doubters wrong and keep pushing forward and be the best version of yourself. Now, is that easy? Do you think it's easy to do that? Do you think it's easy to continue to live in the space of yes versus a no? No, it's not easy at all. It's one of the hardest things to do. Guys, we're naturally pessimistic. People are naturally thinking to themselves that I can't do something based on what I've been told, based on what society tells me, and based on what I see others go through all the time. Who am I to be any different than Joe Schmo down the road that failed at those things 3 or 4 times? Who am I that's different than what my mother told me my whole entire life and told me that I wouldn't amount to this or wouldn't amount to that, or I should go down this road because I'm not good enough to do those things? Who am I to be able to try to go against the grain of the things that I've always been heard, read, or seen on television, encyclopedias? Remember what encyclopedias were? I remember those days. On Google and whatever else. Who am I to go against the grain of what society tells me that I should be, just based on the fact that they tell me that? And there's nothing proven that can tell me that I can't do anything, but I start to tell myself that I can't. Who am I to go against that grain and be a positive influence on myself? And start my day with a yes, and start my day with a positive affirmation that yes, I can do something. You know, it's pretty catchy, and I know I've said this a lot, maybe in podcasts in the past, maybe 100 podcasts ago. I remember when I said that the simple gesture of what Stuart Smalley used to do on Saturday Night Live when he used to sit there and he would say, "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me." And he had people like Michael Jordan on there, and I think Wayne Gretzky was on there, and they were just having a fun time with it. And it was the positive affirmations, and they were making fun of it. They really were. But in all actuality, it matters. Those words matter when you start your day off with a yes or a positive affirmation of, I am strong, and I am amazing, and I found my deep. I've gone down deep to find out who I really am, and I've dug in to figure out, you know what, this means something to me. It matters to me. And I shouldn't give up on my dream just based on the fact that I doubt myself, or I start off with the no, or I'm hearing my dad or my mom talk to me, or those kind of things. You go for your dreams because you want to go for your dreams. You believe in the fact that you can get to those because you have now told yourself that you can do it. And you can make that happen, even if you're the first one to do it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people tell you or how they doubt you or they push you down or they make you feel like you're less than. You need to sit there and rise above that. You need to do that for yourself because you're worth that investment. You're worth the time that you got to take to be able to say, okay, you know what? I'm sick of hearing no. I'm sick of hearing people doubt me. I'm sick of hearing what society tells me that I can do. I'm going to do this for me because I'm worth it. I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Right? I know it was silly that Stuart Smalley said that, but it's the truth. And if you write those things on your mirror in the morning, those yes affirmations, those things you're most grateful for, or the things that you can tell yourself that I am good enough, and I am smart enough, and I can complete that course, and I can run that marathon, and I can get that job promotion, and I can be a great influence. I can be a great dad or mom. I can do all these things versus I can't, no, negative, doubt yourself and all those things. You can set yourself up for so much more success if you just do these small little things of positive affirmations and believing in yourself to say, I can do something that I'm trying to be able to accomplish. Again, is it easy? No. Is it worth it to do it? 1,000% yes. You're worth that investment. I'm worth that investment. I'm worth it because I only live on this earth for a short amount of time. And if I'm going to make a positive impact in life, I'm going to make a positive impact in the world, on my son, on my wife, on my family, on anybody else out there. If I'm going to make a positive impact and I'm going to do it, I need to believe in myself that I can do that. I'm worth the time to take to say I can do this and I believe in myself. Overcoming all that adversity, overcoming all the noise that comes my way, overcoming all the stuff that's just thrown at me every single day for me to be able to live in the space of I can do something, I will do something, and I'm going to be successful at it, no matter what happens and no matter where I'm at. It's kind of a big deal. So yes and no, guys. How will you start your day today? Will you start your day with a yes, or will you start your day with a no? Will you start your day with a positive word, or will you start your day with a negative word? It all stems in the morning when you first wake up and you're kicking off your day and you know what your goals are and you want to be able to accomplish them. If you enter them with doubt, negativity, and just all this other stuff, you're probably going to set yourself up for failure throughout the day. But if you start off with that positive momentum and get yourself thinking, I can accomplish this and I'm going to move forward with this and nothing's going to stop me and I'm going to prove them wrong. These are the words that we need to be able to continue to move forward and be positive and be successful and do everything that we dream to do. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. I think you do, because I think a lot of you are in alignment with what I'm talking about here. And I also struggle with it, and I think you get that too. But believe in yourself. I believe in you. I know you can do it. One foot in front of the other. And use words like I can, I will, and I'm going to be successful at everything I'm trying to do. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Please do us a favor and leave feedback and a 5-star rating on whatever platform that you use.